All right, let's now cross over to Uganda, where Solomon Seriwanja now joins us. Solomon, what is the latest situation?
Well, Ashley, I can just say for sure that the Free Bobi Wine campaign continues to take center stage here in Uganda. Matter of fact, the Idi Adwa celebrations are being dampened by the mood of many Ugandans here who are calling for the release of Robert Kyagulanyi, who is also known as Bobi Wine. That campaign is actually going on. Yes, yesterday we had sporadic protests across the country, from Kampala to Busia and to other different parts of the country. Many people here calling for his unconditional release. But hey, Ashley, we've been closely following this story with senior journalist here, Joseph Sabiti, who now joins us for Bottom Line Africa here. Joseph, thanks for joining us for Bottom Line Africa.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, so one of our poll Twitter question today is, should violence be used as a means of protest on the African continent for change? Let me first of all pick your thoughts on that, considering what has been happening here in Uganda.
I think the tricky situation that the state finds itself in is that they are accusing an individual of breaking the law.
Yeah.
And when you look at the actions of the state security apparatus in trying to control what they call breaking of the law, again, it turns out to break the law probably 30 times. And so I think it's time for African government to re-examine how they use the instruments of coercion, which are in the hands of the state. For example, images that came from Kampala yesterday of a journalist being beaten by about 4 or 5 military personnel, not just ordinary military personnel, but personnel attached to the presidential protection force, the Special Forces Command, the elite force in charge of protecting the president. And so this drags the reputation of the presidency directly into the mud. And so I think it's time for African countries to regulate the use of force, and as well as to regulate the use of the armed forces, and to separate security probably from politics.
All right, let's talk about the president. You mentioned about the president. The president came out recently to say that Bobi Wine is okay. And we have conflicting narratives from the family and also from some of the legislators who have visited him. Where does this leave the whole Bobi Wine picture?
Let's just look at the law. The Constitution of the Republic of Uganda protects the rights of suspects. And so Bobi Wine is just a suspect. He's not a military man, he's a civilian. They're holding him in a military facility. He was held in detention without communication to his family, to his wife, or to his lawyers for a couple of days. Eventually they allowed his wife, eventually they allowed a limited number of lawyers. And so I think the easiest thing for the President of the Republic to do is to show him to the public. Because I have seen him write about twice in a period of 3 days trying to explain that the young man is fine. I think the easiest way to prove that he's fine is to show him to the country. And so no amount of letter. You saw the MPs who came, MPs who are known to work for the state, the operatives of the ruling party. Their relationship with the president is known, came out to address the media at parliament saying, look, we spoke to him and he said he couldn't take pictures with us because he hasn't shaved or he's not in a suit. That's not the Bobi Wine we know.
Yeah.
In your journalistic engagements with him, that's not the person we know. And so I think the state is exhibiting a desperate attempt to try to sugarcoat the situation. I think the easiest thing to do to settle the situation, to calm down the protest, is to just show Bobi Wine to the public.
All right, let's just broaden the conversation a little bit more about the, where does this leave Bobi Wine politically? He's become a force to reckon with here in Uganda.
I think the discussion everyone is having now is, in what state of health is Bobi Wine? In what shape is he? How will he be after this endeavor? Because our sources in the military indicate he was tortured from Arua to Bondo Barracks, where he was held, and to where he was taken. The reason why they cannot show him to the public is because he's in bad shape. And so let's start from there. How will he get out of the military detention? In what state of health will he be? If he comes out well and able to go back on his feet, then we can say that there's a new, probably, face of the opposition in the country. For the last 17 or so years, it has been Dr. Besigye calling the shots in the opposition. But you've seen the last few days, I've seen discussion in regard to whether he's losing that place. And so I think the important thing will be how Kyagulanyi will be medically when he is discharged from military detention.
Joseph Sabiti, thanks for joining us for Bottom Line Africa. Okay. Now, the latest is that indeed Bobi Wine will be aligned before the military court-martial later on this week. That's 23rd of August, if my memory serves me right. And of course, civil society organizations have come up against his detention, and human rights activists actually have joined that particular conversation. All right, let me come back to you, Ashley, for more of the stories across the African continent. Ashley.
Thanks, Solomon Serwanja. They are giving us the current situation, an update of the unrest in Uganda following the detention of Bobi Wine. Now,